Palumbo Show from downtown Mawa, also downtown Matawan, New Jersey. Of course, I am the host of the Jimmy Palumbo Show. My name is Jimmy Palumbo. I just try to say my name as much as I can. No one else does. So I have my co-host here, Mr. Chris Gucci. Chris, how we doing this afternoon here?
I'm doing well. I mean, I can't complain that it's the holidays coming up, so a lot to be thankful for. You know, It was a little bit of a busy situation at my house last night with a bunch of people over, so I didn't get the best night's sleep, but I'm here to deliver on the Jimmy Palumbo Show, episode 89.
89, show number 89. Yes, indeed. Well, obviously, we're going to touch on sports. It has not been kind to us this weekend. But number 89, now look. You know, on this show, every now and then we go, it's the stars, and everybody's, Mark Bavaro, he's probably the most famous Giant, 89. And there's also Dan Campbell, the head coach of the Lions, which we'll get into later. He was 89. And Kevin Boss, and you got Steve Smith, great wide receiver. And, of course, my favorite player, who is no longer with the program, Kadarius Toney, who didn't do that well this week. And I still think that trade's going to bite him in the ass, but no one else does but me. And listen, but I'm going to go with a guy, okay? Now, I lived in L.A. for a while, and this guy, to me, is my hero. And I didn't realize he was my hero till I was doing prep work for the show, Chris. Number 89, Fred Dreyer. Now, this guy played in the 70s and 80s, mostly the 70s. He was a defensive end, had 103 sacks, right? Played in two cities. He played with the Giants and the Rams. He was really good with the Giants for 2 years, and the Giants stunk. So he had conflicts with the Maras, and he ended up getting traded. I don't know if you know this. He got traded to the Patriots, and they got Sam Bam Cunningham out of it. And then he just didn't show up or something. Whatever happened. Next thing you know, he got traded for another draft pick. He ended up where he really wanted to be. He wanted to be on the West Coast. He went to San Diego State. He ends up with the Rams, and he does really, really well there. Now, in college, he played football with Carl Weathers from Apollo Creed, so I thought that was pretty cool. And he goes on to play 11 more years, 13 years total, got tons of sacks, a very good player, played in the Super Bowl. And then, of course, he goes on to become an actor. And he was on that show Hunter for a while, tons of other shows. If you saw his face, he also did broadcasting. He was in the booth for a lot of games in the early 80s. And then, he almost got the role of Ted Danson on Cheers. It was between him and Ted Danson. Think how crazy that is. And at the end of the day, he married a Playboy centerfold. So I'm looking at this guy, those of you scoring at home, I think it was May of 83. But he ends up, to me, a football player, got a ton of sacks, living in L.A., becomes an actor, gets on shows, marries a Playboy model.
It's literally the best of both worlds. He's a star athlete, and then he gets to live your dream of being a famous actor.
Bottom line is this. Fred Dreyer did not end up in Mawa, New Jersey. That's how I look at it. So,
nope. I wonder if he's got a podcast.
I wonder if he does. I'll be on his show from downtown Mawa. So number 89, I'm going to go with Fred Dreyer, even though he played only 2 years with the Giants.
All right. So
now, who do you got? I did see some Packers on there. So I'm sure.
Yeah. There's definitely. I'm going to talk about Steve Smith Sr. first because you glossed over Steve Smith, but he's one of my favorite football players of all time. He was like 5'7", but he played like he was 6'4". The dude had like 10 touchdowns a year, 1,000 yards a year for 10 years.
Great player.
Honestly, borderline Hall of Famer with his numbers. If the receivers weren't so gaudy right now with the receiver totals, he would be a sure thing Hall of Famer, but it's a little tough for now.
That's one lousy thing to compare the receivers from back then now. It's like
it's really hard to.
They used to throw 25 times a game. Now they throw,
and it happened recently
45.
too. There's guys now that Jamar Chase already has like 4,000 receiving yards. He's played 20 games, but you get the point. My guy though, it's a guy that played for the Giants. He played for the Raiders, but most importantly, he played for the Packers. And it's a funny story about it because he had a solid first contract with Green Bay. And we're talking about James Jones. He gets signed by the Raiders as a free agent.
Jones.
It doesn't pan out. He has 2 years there. He gets cut in his third year. Giants sign him that offseason. He plays about 8 games. A bunch of Packers receivers go down. James Jones gets cut by the Giants. Now he has caught like 10 passes in the last 2.5 seasons combined since he's left Green Bay.
Right.
He re-signs with Green Bay in the middle of the year, and he has 9 touchdowns in 8 games down the stretch. So he's just the perfect Packer. And James Jones, he's on NFL Network now. He's good at analyst. He's a good analyst. So across the board, James Jones is my guy.
Okay. All right, James Jones. I don't remember him on the Giants. Usually I remember guys like
because
that.
he didn't do shit. He didn't do shit.
It sounds like he didn't do shit with anybody till down the stretch there, which is fine. I love those stories. When a guy doesn't do well and he clicks on one.
Well, no, he did well in his first contract with Green Bay, and then he played himself into a second deal. Which anytime you get signed as a free agent in your second go of it, you had a solid run. Anytime
you get your second deal in the NFL, you're doing something correct. All right, well, that's it. Fred Fryer, James Jones, and that's our show 89 number that we do at the beginning of the show with the number 89 and the jersey number 89. Getting involved here. Well, listen, we got to talk about Patreon, Chris. Now, there's a lot of controversy going on with my Patreon, okay? And it's linked into the NFL Jimmy Palumbo stinks list. And the bottom line is we are still at 15. We upgraded from 14 to 15 when my boy Shecky, Mike Lawler, joined in. However, I've been saying that Kelly at LSU is going to kick ass there, which I knew he would. And they're 9-2, and they're hovering close maybe to getting in this little dance. I don't think they'll get there, but they might. And my boy Darryl Clark, he already is a member, so I can't upgrade it, but he upgraded his Patreon tier by giving a little more love because I've been barking that I think Kelly's going to kick ass at LSU. Now, did I talk about LSU to get the Dolphin thing with the stinks list? So some people think, those of you scoring at home, that Jimmy Palumbo can be bought, Chris. Now, I thought about it. I realized, wait a minute. Chris is not on my Patreon list. And I've had the Packers on the stinks list. So I started saying to myself, what if the Packers win 3 or 4 in a row? I could maybe bait you into the $3 a month.
The funny thing about your Patreon list is that I also have a Patreon, and it's funny you mentioned that I am not a Patreon member of the Jimmy Palumbo Show. As I'm looking through my Patreon members, I'm not sure I noticed the one Jimmy Palumbo's name there.
Well,
I did notice several other Palumbos, though, I will add. There is several other Palumbos.
Because those
so we can call you the Patreon liaison.
Okay, well, time out. Any Palumbo on that list thought they were supporting me on that in the Chop Sports genre of helping Jimmy Palumbo.
See, I think it's very clearly stated on the Patreon. It said in an asterisk underneath on the header, it said, "This is not supporting the Jimmy Palumbo show." I made it clear to everybody, so they were all fully aware.
First of all, when you talk about Palumbos and Chop Sports, someday when they have a huge arena, a Hall of Fame for Chop Sports Media, there will be a monument at the very front that'll be covered in pigeon shit, and the kids won't even read it. Only the old timers look at it and say, "Hey, Daddy, who's this Jimmy Palumbo guy and Joey Palumbo guy?"
It'll be right outside. It'll be like
it'll be in the rain,
Jimmy Palumbo
maybe by the parking lot.
It's right in between. Did you see that sign? It says men, and there's other one that says women. We'll just put it right in between the restroom and the lobby, main vestibule.
So
it's like right by the shitter.
It'll just say Jimmy Palumbo podcast on the Chops early years of the Chop Sports Network. Was most famous for saying that Pollard's better than Ezekiel Elliott. Go look that up on your restream there. But anyway, we digress. So
Pat Volkamer is going to get a hold of that comment, and he's going to be hitting you up at 4 a.m. LA time.
So my wonderful Patreon subscribers are at 15. I'm thrilled, and they are. Alex Stetsena, who is a guy from Ramsey, and he was the first one to sign up, and he's considered the Dan Ford of my Patreon list. If you get that joke, please text me because it's the funniest thing I've said in 3 years. My sister, Mary Eileen, Mike DeMosi from Colonia, my mom, my cousin Joe, who's also supports Chop Sports, Rob Pastor, Kappa Sig from Rutgers, James Canowitz, my website guy who never calls me back, Jimmy Riccardi, my nephew, John Henry Riccardi, Eric Palumbo, Mike Caprio, second baseman, cornhole owner, yes, indeed. Frank Palumbo, who is the senior advisor of my Patreon scenario. Darryl Clark coming in at number 13, and he upgrades the tier. Chris, fans at home love to see that. Then you got Greg Castellino, my good buddy from Colonia and Rutgers, and Mike Shecky Lawler coming in at number 15. So we are stuck at Randy Dean, number 15. If you get that joke, please text me at home. I'll tell you, Randy Dean was a shitty quarterback for the Giants in the 70s. Anyway, so that's it. My lovely Patreon. I love you so much. And thank you, by the way. I bust balls. And I got to, I'm still getting ready to send out some stuff. Maybe I'll send you a nice Christmas card with an autograph. That's what you get out of me. But that's it. Also, don't forget to support my Facebook and TikTok and Instagram. I need to increase all of that. Matter of fact, I'll be having discussions with my social media girl, Sydney, that we need to increase everything across the board. And that's that. Now, I also got to say, we're not doing the wait list, but I had a bad early in the week, Chris. But the last 3 days, you know what? I've been all right. So we're not going to do the weight thing. I'm just touching on that, you know what I mean? A little more pickleball, a little more love in the room. So I'm starting to, I'm just letting you know that I didn't forget about the weight thing. And I just have to have another reason to talk about Absolute Eyewear. Because, Chris, Absolute Eyewear is the first sponsor of the Jimmy Palumbo Show and also a big sponsor of the Chop Sports Network. And you got to go to Absolute Eyewear if you need glasses. I'm wearing them now. You're blind as a bat. They're at 42 Main Street, Woodbridge, New Jersey, 732-326-3937, 732-326.
Eyes.
Eyes. That's it. We love that part because no one even does that anymore. Go check out Craig and Johnny's store. They're full opticians. They got everything, prescription eyewear. They do everything over there. They have, and I'll do it. I think I'm going to do Jim Gordon. They have Ray-Ban, Coach, Ralph Lauren, Jimmy Choo, looking silhouette, looking. He's got Michael Kors, Vogue, Maui Jim, and Costa Del Mar. And they have all kinds, and also Charles Oakley, I forgot about. They got discounts. Go in there, mention the show's name. They'll give you a discount. They're good people. Best thing of all is when you leave there after you buy something, you don't feel like a jerk off. You feel good about yourself because they're nice people. And they're open. They're closed on Tuesdays and Sundays. Now, Chris, Wednesdays and Sundays.
I was going to correct you.
Yeah, I was waiting, but I jumped on it. Why are they closed Wednesdays?
That would be softball.
Why are they closed Sundays?
Obviously, it's football giant day.
Yes, I think they should have been open on Sundays.
Yeah.
I would have them reopen immediately if you ask me. We got some stand-up gigs coming up. Jimmy Palumbo will be live from downtown Avenel, New Jersey at the Avenel Performing Arts Center. Once you're big in Avenel, Chris, I mean, give them hell from Avenel. It's a big show, though, 2 nights. I'm looking forward to seeing all my friends from high school show up. Hopefully they'll show up again. And I'm also doing a show with Ryan Mayer at the Ocean View Restaurant in Seaside Heights on January 14th. I'm hosting there. I've never hosted before. I'll be like the first guy up. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to, I got to warm up the room a little bit, which I don't really do. I just go right into my material. So I might have to have fun with that one.
I think it might be more in your wheelhouse than you think. It might
maybe. I may be better at it. Who knows? I'm also wearing, for some reason, I decided, when your teams lose, you don't feel like wearing the shirts. I'm wearing a Nutcracker shirt, which we're going to get into. I'm also wearing my dad's hat. He always wore this hat, number 4, Garrick, big Lou Gehrig fan. I don't know, missed my dad holiday, so I decided to wear his hat doing the show. So I feel like he's part of the show. Let's get into some things. I got to talk about my, of course, I'm giving shout out to Neil Goldhaber, who knew that Dan Ford hit the first home run in the new Yankee Stadium in 1976. I've been laughing about that joke for 100 years. Anytime someone does something first, I was like, it's a Dan Ford. My cousin John thinks that's funny. So does my cousin Joey, but no one gets that. But of course, Neil Goldhaber getting involved. And I'm sure Neil now will join the Patreon list. So bottom line is, if you get one of my jokes, you pay for it. That's a good way to do it, right, Chris? But let's talk about my mixed Scarlet Knights. Chris, I'm down on this whole thing, man. They got blown out against Penn State. Penn State's better. I get all that. I'm on this Facebook page. We talked a little bit about last week. Seems like everybody hates me on there. Like they think I'm being too negative. And all I'm saying is we just don't do well enough. I like Greg Schiano. Greg Schiano is the best. Listen to me. It's very clear. He is the best college football coach in America until kickoff. And then when the game ends, I think he's better than Nick Saban after it's those 3 hours that you play. I don't get. You know what? 55-10. Penn State's better, but we look awful. This rookie quarterback, I was looking for hope from him. He's young. He's 19. Doesn't know what he's doing yet. But there's no hope there, Chris. It's like, and guys are getting injured now, and we're not going to make a bowl. And I don't know. And we have a dumb fan base. Oh, I'm so upset that Penn State fans are all coming to our stadium. Okay. Well, guess what? It was cold. It was going to be a half a night game. Penn State's 4 hours away. There's tons of New Jersey people who went to Penn State. We stink. And so they bought tickets and went to the game. If I was living in Westfield and I went to Penn State, what game would you go to? You go to the Rutgers game.
There's one simple solution here, and it's fill your own stadium with your own fans, and they don't do that. So it's like, what do you want them to play in front of nobody? I would say it's better to have some money in the stadium than nothing.
This is New Jersey, and it's not a college town. And if you win, you go. Look at the basketball game. The rack used to be cavernous. There was no one there. But guess what, Chris? They won. Then they started playing good against big. Really, there was a time there early in Pikel thing where we were playing tough against teams way better. And you know what? The jerk-off Jersey fan from Rutgers goes, hey, you know what? We suck, but they play tough. Never happens at Rutgers. Never. Teams we barely beat, like Boston College and Temple, that you think, oh, they're going to be good all year. Boston College stinks. Temple stinks. Then we beat Wagner. Everybody feels good about themselves. And we should have won, but you know what? I'm just in that end of year Rutgers lousy feeling, which I've had for years now. I'm tired of it. And now there's NIL. We're worried about players entering the transfer portal. And I get an attitude. I'm like, go ahead, go. You stink anyway. But I'm a fan. I love it. I live and die by it. I'm just a little beaten down with this. I thought we were going to improve as the year went on, and we just never do.
Yeah, I did not. I thought Rutgers, they are who we thought they were. I thought they were. You know, it's tough in the Big Ten, and
technically, you can argue that they are filling the cupboard with some better players, and they do very well in the portal. But I don't know. You know what? I just want them to be. I don't need them to go 9-3. I don't want to. We'll never be that Penn State thing where Penn State gets beat by the two best teams every year. They lose to Ohio State and Michigan. They go 10-2. And they go to a decent bowl.
How about 250 yards passing in a game consistently?
Yes.
How about receivers?
You know what? How about this? Rutgers loses 51-43 barn burner, right? The fans would go nuts. Instead, we usually score first, and Shiano does these defensive schemes where you're like, oh, my God, we got the best defense in the country. And it almost looks like the offensive coordinator in the booth goes, oh, I know what they're doing. I tell the quarterback to take 2 steps to the left, have the receiver go 4 feet the other way. He'll score me. And then the other team scores effortlessly the rest of the way. Makes me crazy. But I love them. And another thing to tack it on, the Rutgers Hoops was 3-0. They played Temple. I hate playing Temple. I would eliminate Temple from our schedule. I don't want to play them in chess, golf. I feel like Temple, they're always tough. They don't have the budget we have. They don't have the fan base really. And, but Temple's always a pain in the ass in every sport. It seems that way. And it looks like the same 5 guys on Temple that we played, 30 years ago are still on the team. They just look older, bigger, stronger. And we got smoked by them. But Rutgers basketball is going to be fine. But it just was annoying on this weekend that they got their ass kicked. But I think the Hoops will be okay. I got to briefly talk about my Knicks. I know they won a good win last night, but I don't know, man. I know you like Brunson, but to me, Brunson's like, when you're a really good team, he's the third guy.
Yeah, he's all right, but he's not.
All right. And Randall scores a lot. To me, like Randall, it's like Barrett, they're part of the whole Knicks. Like, yeah, they got guys who can score, but everybody, it's like, it's just nothing. Nothing going. You know what? There's nothing going on there. That's how I'm going to say the Knicks. But I'm a Knicks fan. I'm just not buying in. They're 500. Like being 500 in the NBA. I mean, who cares?
I mean,
Anyway,
it puts him in a spot where if they're close, they could make a move for a guy at the deadline if it makes
no,
sense and things like
Chris,
that. But
nobody ever does that. For 10 years now, oh, we're going to get this guy, and he ends up going to the
the
Nets.
Knicks don't do it, but teams do it all the time.
The Knicks can't do it because nobody wants to play in the Garden. They don't want to play there anymore unless you overpay them or your dad used to work for them or something like that. It's awful. Anyway, the Yankees signed Rizzo. 99.9% of the Yankee fan base just loves this signing. There is one person, Chris, who does not like this signing. Who do you think that is, Chris?
You.
Yes, I think he stinks. Everybody loves him. He did okay in the playoffs. Now, I lovingly think he stinks. It's like he's like the pain in the ass dog you own that the dog drives you crazy, but you'll be sad on the day.
I know, and the funny thing is though, when you look
225.
around baseball, there's not many first basemen that don't stink. He's right on par with the rest.
Right.
Trust me. What are you going to replace Rizzo with somebody else that stinks?
Yeah, it'll be another stinks. And I will have fun next year if I'm still doing this podcast. What did Rizzo do this week? And I predict he will bat lower than 220. He'll go less than 225. Anyway, everybody loves him, though. Why? Because he's Italian, the tri-state area. Rizzo, that's so Rizzo. Stinks. Anyway, and another thing, the Yankees, I know Judge is like laughing at the Yankees right now. He's like he's just driving pictures of him in San Francisco. The Yankees already made an offer. Like, come on, Yankees, just sign the guy. Just do it. Like, just do it now. What are you waiting for? I know they gave him an offer, but if he doesn't sign it, throw another $5 million on it. Like, just end this. It's nonsense. And Judge, you know what? If you're not going to sign with the Yankees, I don't know. I want this done. I hate this storyline. It's like the Giselle Bundchen thing. I don't want to hear about this anymore. Just sign him already. Stop it. And if you're not going to sign him, then tell everybody we're not signing him. That's my opinion. It's a story I can't stand, which leads us to another story I can't stand. Now I'm getting at this is the aggravated part of the show, Chris. My football Giants. I'm backstage doing the Nutcracker with my daughter, and I'm trying to figure out a way to watch the game on an iPad. I spent $40 getting a season pass to the NFL just to watch the game. Look, the Giants are 7-3. That's what their record is. Most of my Giant fan friends know they kind of stink. But NFL, 7-3, 7-3. They won some games. This game was a real stinker. I actually looked back at some of the Lions. The Lions are interesting. They're coached by Dan Campbell. A fumble here or there, their record may be a little bit better than 4-6. They're one of those pain in the ass teams. There's always
Minnesota had a walk-off touchdown in a game that they trailed the entire game against Detroit.
Right.
And they would be a 500 team right now if that goes the other way. Now, the Lions have stunk for the better part of 5 years, but last year they were a cover machine. They were 13-4 against the spread last year. So even when they were getting blown out, the back door was always open. They never stopped fighting.
Yep.
Think about this Lions team, though. They do a lot of things well offensively. Their offensive line is maybe the best in football. So that's going to help.
They're the Lions. If you got to play the Lions the rest of the way, good luck. But the Giants just looked, at home as a bad loss. It was windy, it was cold, and everybody looked aggravated. And now they got to play the Cowboys on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you want to know what the Giants' remaining schedule is in a row?
I know they played the Cowboys once and the Eagles twice and the Redskins twice.
So just in a row, Giants at Cowboys, then it's Commanders at Giants, Eagles at Giants, Giants at Commanders, Giants at Vikings, Colts at Giants, Giants at Eagles. That's the remaining schedule. So there's it's the Colts game is the one game you're looking at
okay,
all right.
but I could look at it the other way and say the Vikings are they've been outscored by their opponents this year. So how good are they? They could be a house of cards. The Eagles may have nothing to play for.
We're talking about house of cards. Vikings and Giants are in a very similar spot, I would say. So that's a good equation.
And I'm going to tell you something. The Cowboys coming in hot. I'm sorry. If the Cowboys lose to the Giants,
there's two ways to look at the Giants thing, right? Those are some tough games.
They're all injured. They got injuries. The Cowboys
are some tough
games.
They have the tougher part of their schedule is down the stretch. they did not really think, they thought, looking at their schedule, looking at it in the beginning of the year, that this was probably going to be the easy stretch against division games, that their division isn't that good. But Philly
Because
twice,
the NFL's not really like that, though. There's no
they
easy
can control their own
stretch.
destiny, though. That's the beauty of it. So they play the teams they need to beat, and they don't have to really rely on anybody else but themselves.
If the Giants are 7-7 with 3 games to go, they could still make the playoffs. And as a fan, I'm happy with that. They couldn't run the ball. It was horrible. I'll briefly touch your Packers, man. Ooh, you got to write this year off as a tax write-off.
I already did.
I feel like the Packers are like, when you ever go by, like in Colonia, there's like a retail section. You can't figure out why none of the stores are filled. And you're like, it's because it's just a write-off. It's like, so the Packers are where the Channel Lumber place used to be in Colonia this year of the NFL. There's like 8 empty stores. Packers just aren't getting it going. I don't know. You probably know reasons why, and I don't want to bore anybody with that, but the Packers look like shit. But another thing we got to touch upon is, did you see the Jet game, man? I'll tell you, the Jets and Patriots, that's their big rival. If the Giants lost on a punt return, like the Giants once did with the Eagles, but like, that's brutal, man. 5 seconds ago, you just can't give up a punt for a touchdown.
There was 2 clips on that play that they did not call.
I know, but you know what?
One sprung the run, so I really think that should have been called back. But still, man, like, you
that's
can't
a bad
overlook.
Way to lose.
The Jets had no business winning that game with the way the offense played. But the defense there's some bright spots on that defense. There's reasons to be excited about the Jets defense for sure.
Yep, it's just that's a tough loss for the Jets.
Yeah, but Zach Wilson and the way he handled the media after the game, someone needs to tap him on the shoulder and be like, "Bro, this is New York. You're gonna have to figure that out." And it's as important as playing well.
He makes Daniel Jones. He makes Daniel Jones look like Aaron Rodgers, so that's a problem. And
Derek Jeter at the mic, and he makes him look like Derek Jeter on the mic because at least Daniel Jones knows how to do the player speak. Zach Wilson's an idiot.
Every player to me should be like the Derek Jeter. Just shut your mouth and make millions of dollars and go home. Which brings me to the Jimmy Palumbo NFL Stinks List, which is gaining ground by the week. Sponsored by cornholelevel.com. That's right. My buddy Mike Caprio owns this company. And Chris, if you got a cornhole board in your backyard, you got to level it properly. There's a different angle this way, that way. You got to do that. And this little gadget hooks on the hole, and you go back and forth to get it just right. You get 2 of them in a package for $19.95, 20% off an order if you put in JP Sports or Chop Sports. And this thing is, you don't want to embarrass yourself, Chris. Coming into somebody's backyard party and they got a bad board. You can save a party, Chris. You can run back to your car, come back with the cornhole level and hook it up when the guy's not even looking and say, dude, you had a shitty cornhole situation and I solved the problem. I mean, that's a way to make a friend, Chris. You agree?
I mean, yeah, all my friends are just dying to get their cornhole leveled.
Cornholelevel.com, $19.95, 20% off. You put it in JP Sports. Go check it out. This thing is really cool. Great stocking stuffer. Great for the kids. Good evening, everybody. And, of course, Mike Caprio, my second baseman, is the owner of that, and he'll take care of you. So my stinks list, I think it's an interesting one. Well, I have the Miami Dolphins at very good. Obviously, pay to play there. Buffalo Bills I have is just good. I have New England Patriots at average. I put the Jets at average. Brutal loss. I have the Ravens at good. Ravens could approach very good, possibly. Cincinnati Bengals average. The Browns and Steelers, they both stink. Who we kidding? I have the Tennessee Titans at very good at 7-3. I have the Colts at average. The Jacksonville Jaguars and the Houston Texans. Chris, what are they? They stink.
They stink.
Okay. I have the Kansas City Chiefs at very good. Something about this Chief team, though, that you know what? I don't know what it is. I always feel like they're gonna lose in the playoffs. I don't know why I feel that way. Just something about their game.
I mean, it wouldn't be shocking for them to lose, but if you're gonna sit here and be like, there's something about this Chiefs team, and it's like, well, then there's something about every team. Every single team.
You know what? I don't really follow the Chiefs.
They're the one. I think the Chiefs are the ones that everyone should be worried about. They're not even peaked yet. Like, that's the thing about this Chiefs team.
And Mahomes is a young special.
If they're within one score in the fourth quarter, you lose.
Right.
You're not beating them.
With 20 seconds ago, you could lose.
Yeah.
The Chargers are average. They're 5-5. And the Raiders and the Broncos, they both stink. I got the Philadelphia Eagles at very good. 9-1, man. 9-1's 9-1. And I had to do it because they smoked the Vikings. I have the Dallas Cowboys at very good. On one of your early daily show, because I always thought Ezekiel Elliott was just okay as a back. I don't know. Everybody loves this guy. And I'm like, he's all right, he's good. But then this guy Pollard would be blowing by guys. I'm like, why don't they give the ball to him every time? And now it seems like they got them both going. But I think Pollard is a special back. And the Cowboys won big. The Giants played the Cowboys on. Maybe I'm playing devil's advocate there, making, the Cowboys put them at very good so I can knock them down on this.
Hey,
I don't see the Giants.
And short week. Short
week. The Giants are banged up. It's a bad matchup. If the Cowboys, you know what? If the Cowboys lose to the Giants, they won't get they'll win the Super Bowl, still have them at good.
Look, it's with a really good coach, losing a bad loss like that at home, it's almost like good. It's like, all right, we're going to go on the road here.
Too many guys
team
are
that
hurt.
we're going to play just beat the shit out of the number 1 seed in the NFC or number 2 seed in the NFC. I think it's a good spot as any for the Giants to be in. Unfortunately, they ought to block Micah Parsons, and I don't know if it's going to work out.
And their line is hurt. Neal is still out.
I'm just trying to find a silver lining here.
I don't see it.
Say short week helps the underdog. I think all the time. I think the fact that it's a short week, it helps the team getting the points.
Well, look,
because it's usually a little more sloppy. There's only one practice before the game.
They don't. If that they practice. Bottom line is, I got the Eagles are very good, Cowboys are very good, Giants average, and Commanders average. NFC North, I had to put the Vikings at good. You get bitch slapped like that, you got to get reduced to good. I got the Lions as average, and the Packers and Bears as stink. Packers are just a mess. I keep on waiting for the Packers to go on one of those 5-game winning streaks. Just doesn't seem to happen.
Waiting.
Keep waiting. Tampa Bay, I have as average. Falcons, Saints, and Panthers stink. Seattle Seahawks, good. 49ers, average. Cardinals stink. Rams stink. So I got, I didn't even add it up. How many stinks do I got? I thought I wrote it down. I didn't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 stinks. And average, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I got 10 average. And how many goods? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 goods. And 1, 2, 3, and 5 very goods. That's the highest I've ever had.
Yeah,
so that's it. I thought I wrote it down and I didn't. Good. So that's my stinks list.
And honestly, I think the 49ers are good. I don't know. They might be in the NFC. They might be in the Super Bowl this year.
See. I follow. I take into it's a very complicated algorithm, my stinks list. And ESPN is reportedly jumping all over it. Now, we're on to more important things. Now, I always tell people it's a 33-minute mark. So a lot of people, Jimmy, I don't like sports, so I skip to when I start talking about life shit. So that's okay. But listen, it's like a Monday morning show here. It's Tuesday afternoon. I was in the Nutcracker this weekend, Chris. I had a very long weekend. So did my daughter. Very long. We had to be there 9 a.m. on Saturday. We didn't get out of there till 11 or 10, whatever the hell it was. Same thing. We had to load in stuff all weekend long. All the props in this big van, in women's cars. It was like I felt like I was working for Ringling Brothers. But my daughter did awesome. It was really cool. I mean, look, everybody knows I adore my daughter, but I actually got to physically dance with her on stage. I don't care if it's just a dance center thing over at Indian Hills High School in Oakland. But I got to dance with my daughter. And then the other one of the shows, she had like a bigger part, so I don't dance with her. And then I got to carry this baby across the stage, which was cute. A couple little cuties, little young kids were like 4 or 5 years old. They fall asleep during the party scene of the Nutcracker. But I tell you, fun bunch of guys, though. Fun bunch of dads. There's like 7 dads in the show, 7 moms. They gave us a bottle of Tito's with the handle. And then the other guy brought a bottle of Tito's with the handle. And another guy had a half a bottle of Tito's to bring in. And we were in this classroom. And I probably shouldn't say what high school it is, but I already did. So, and then people were coming in. Guy made a little couple of shots. You know what I mean? I poured myself a couple of vodka tonics. We were just hanging out backstage, talking about life and what dance is like with the kids and all that stuff. But on the last show, we were in our dressing room, and nobody they forgot to come get us for the curtain call. So we get a text saying, "Where are you guys?" We go running down the hallway. I was late for the curtain call, Chris, but we weren't even like party. We were just casually like, talking football and relaxing. So I missed the curtain call. But the best part was, first of all, I mean, loading this stuff in and out was such a pain in the ass. But this is what you do for your kids. There's this snow machine. You know how they make snow come down? Chris had a play. They take this PVC. They take PVC pipe. They cut like holes in it, and you got to put this fake snow in, and then you have to like with rope on a bar way up top. You have to go like this back and forth, and it trickles it down. Well, there's a guy named Jim, Big Jim, I call him. This guy's a big guy, big construction guy. Dude, he to get it going, like, so this poor dancer, this little cute girl's on stage, and he gave it a shift, and this clump of fake snow just like belted her in the head. It was like, boom. He's like, oh shit. He's trying to get it going. And after that, he was like a master snowman on that. But there was the first show, different kids got whacked with a big pile of snow. But what a huge pain in the ass to hang that thing up.
Yeah.
The other thing is
for the Nutcracker, I give him credit.
The other thing is we were
good
laughing.
Dance academy you got there.
The main guy, he looked cool. It was actually a very cool effect. The main guy who does the ballet, in the scene, he's an older guy, a couple years older than probably 20, 25 years old. It's so funny watching a ballet guy, man. I don't know how they do it there. Now, some people are going to be insulted by this. Like the guys, he got the tights on, man, like his balls, right? It's like it's when you're right, when you're in the audience, maybe it doesn't look that bad, but when you're like right there, you're like, hey, this guy's balls hanging out here. It's really stupid if you think about it. But then another dad was telling me years ago, and I think this is funny as hell. Some people may not. I think it's funny. The guy puts a little pad over his balls, right? So one year, the guy's daughter was really little dancing around him. The guy forgot like the pad. Okay, so he just had like his tights. And the guy goes, I'm in the audience. So I'm like, hey, what the hell's that? Like, guys dancing all around with these kids around it. So I go up to him at the half. He's like, hey, you got your pad in there? The guy's like, no, I forgot it, And this guy was like, no, you got to go home.
You got to go get your pad, dude.
Go get in your car right now or get a bunch of paper towels in the back. He goes, I got my 6-year-old dancing around your balls, bro. Well, he was going on. Now, obviously, he was exaggerating, but I was crying in the back. I'm like, so I was like joking around, like, got your pad in? You got your pad in? But it's such a funny thing. Like I said, my experience on the set of Beer League when the pitching machine was walking around naked. For some reason, when somebody's bottom part is exposed, you can't stop looking at it. It's like, I spent half the weekend staring at this guy's balls. So am I okay? Things okay?
Are you good? You good?
Am I good? I'm good. Anyway, we were having a lot of fun with that backstage. Which brings me now to my I lead right in from ballet balls. Sam Grasso, we're talking balls and ballet. From ball breaker to Nutcracker here. But listen, it was a great production. The King Center in Wanacue and Mahwah did a great job. The girls were awesome. My daughter did a wonderful job. There's some really kick-ass dancers. Listen, there's a lot of work. I did nothing in the show. I danced a little bit with my daughter, but the girls, some of the older girls, 16, 17, 18 years old, they do some serious dances. It's a lot of work. You see them come off stage huffing and puffing because doing on point ballet. You really get to see like, wow, this is a bitch. It's a hard thing to do. And they were there 3 days in a row, 12-hour days, and audience seemed to like it. My mother was there. My brother was there. Natalie's grandmother was there. Her aunt, everybody was there. They got a huge kick out of it. We took pictures. My neighbor brought her little granddaughter. It was really cute to see my neighbor's granddaughter, who was only like 4. Natalie was in costume after the show. There's something really cute when you see a little girl looking up my daughter, who's to me still little, but she's 13, and you see their eyes, like I just saw them on stage. It's like she was looking at like a superstar, you know what I mean? And it's really cute. And I remember when my daughter was little, and she saw something like that, her eyes were like these. They think they're a huge star, you know. So it was really cute. But the girls worked hard. Nancy King, I think she did a great job. It's a tough show to put on right around the holidays. Everybody's bitching and moaning. And look, I only have one kid. Some guy's got 3 kids in the show and a son at home, like at soccer practice or something. So that guy's got to run all over the place, make sure he sees the shows. It's tough. And the moms backstage, you don't even see what they do. They're doing a lot of stuff. There's food all over the place. Girls coming in and out, trying to stay hydrated. But speaking of hydration, Chris, sponsored by www.chasingmiracles.com. That's right. You got to give Donna Kelly a call and chat about her. These are hydration water packs. Okay, they deliver like 70 trace minerals into your water for increased strength, stamina, overall good health. It's great for workouts, athletes. It's the best thing for hydration you can possibly do when you're drinking water. Now, she sent you them. Did you get them?
I did get the pack.
Okay. Well, I'll give you next week. We'll discuss it.
Well, I got it yesterday in the mail. Okay. It was Monday, so I guess
next week.
Yeah,
I've been using them, and I feel hydrated. But she's got a link on there. If you go to chasingmiracles.com, there's tons of information about it. It's so easy. They come in a pack. They look like little like mini tea bags. You drop it in your water.
And I'm gonna do one better. I'm gonna have Ashley try it. Because it's not that with that type of stuff, I don't know. I already feel like such shit that what's a little bit of mineral water, I won't know. She'll be like, oh, this stuff is good. She'll be able to tell me. She's finely tuned right now. I'm not.
It's really cool stuff. And
plus I don't drink water. I just suffer through, you know.
Well, look, the bottom line is this. You can put it you can put it you can put it in a couple. I think you can put it in any kind of.
It was beverage. Cool because I don't know if you can put it on. I was reading the write up on it, and it was talking about extra uses for it when you're done in your water. Like, don't throw it away. You could make a bath. You could do a bunch of other stuff with it. You could
it's
grind it up and put it in your plants in your garden and things like that, and it makes the vegetables grow better. So
check it out. Chasingmiracles.com. Give them a call. They're really cool, and it's all information on there, and about getting more minerals into your system very easily, and you go from there. So that's my sponsor, chasingmiracles.com.
Go to all of your sponsors, like I would be able to see, right?
You could see, you'd be hydrated,
and I would be hydrated and nice and healthy. I'd probably have less of the kidney stone issue that I'm dealing with. I guarantee you, there's something in there that blasts stones.
Do you know what? I think I have the perfect sponsors. You're right. I didn't even think of it, Chris. You just opened my doors here. Number one, you can see better. Then you can get hydrated better, right? You can make sure that your cornhole board is level, which is critical.
Right? And then you could also go get hammered.
And you go get hammered at the Pine Tar
that
Bar
comes
and Grill.
first. It's like you go get hammered. You gotta be able to see to do any of this, first of all, right? But then you could go get hammered, and then the next morning you pop in one of those hydration packs. You go to the Pine Tar Tavern, get drunk, right?
That's it. I think I have the perfect alignment of sponsors, and it's funny. We just created a bit that we're going to do that every week. But anyway, also, let's see. I'm going to have some fun here. I started playing pickleball again. Obviously, I played indoors the other night, and so there were these 2 guys who looked like they were 25. I'm guessing they either wrestled or played football. Young guys, and they kind of like when they got on the court, I could tell they kind of sucked, right? But I'm looking at these guys. I'm like, these guys are athletes. Like you could tell they were like, and I'm like, so one of the guys, Snickers, like, I gotta go play with those beginners. I'm like, it's 8:00. You better play them at 8:00 because it goes from 8 to 10, and I will guarantee you from 9:15 to 10, they're gonna be better than everybody here. So I got out of the courts with them early. And I played with the one guy. I gave him a few tips, but I whispered, I'm like, dude, he's like, dude, I've only been playing 2 weeks. I'm like, I know, but in the next hour, you're going to increase, like, you're going to be like Lawrence Taylor in an hour. And so my buddy, who was Snicker, and he ends up on a court with him, and the 2 guys were playing together. They lost. The kids lost. It was like 11-9, and they were Like they were smacking the ball all over the place. So I told the guys, listen, in a month from now, you won't want to play here because you'll be too good. That's how easy pickleball is. I've been saying it from day one. There's some technique, but if you're young, you can beat the old timers. We're too fat and slow. Who are we kidding? But I want to talk, Chris, about some television shows. Now, I know you haven't been watching them all. You've been busy over there at Chop. But there's this show, White Lotus. For the life of me, I don't know why I like this show. It's the oddest show I've ever seen it's just odd. But there's an actress.
You were like, do yourself a favor and Google it real quick. And I Googled it and I was like, wow, I'm more confused now than when I knew nothing about the show
I tell
whatsoever.
You what, I can't, if someone said to me, what's the show's about? I'm like, watch it.
Even the name.
The name, it's weird, but there's a chick on this show. Her name, I had to look her up. She plays a prostitute on the show, but she's like a funny prostitute, which is odd. Her name is Simona Tabasco. Dude, this girl, you do not want to get in single coverage against this girl. I'm telling you right now. If she lines up on the outside and you're a cornerback, you take that 3 steps back a little bit. You know what I mean? You're gonna give up a bunch of first downs against this girl. She is just completely lights out. She's one of those guys. She has to become a star after this. I don't know who's watching this show, and it's an odd. You don't know where it's going. They tease in the beginning of the show that someone's going to die. You don't know who it is. It's just odd. I love it. And there's Aubrey Plaza, her character. She's been on a bunch of things. You don't know if these characters are going to get killed, be the killer, not the killer, just go home. It's the oddest thing. I don't know. For some reason, I like it, but I can see how people must hate this show. There's no doubt about it. I find it cool as hell. But I'm also watching Tulsa because my good buddy Dominic Lombardozzi, who's been on the show, is a cool part of this place and one of the mob bosses. I love it. I think Stallone's cool in it. I have one issue with it. I have a couple issues with it, really. This whole Italian fish out of water thing, taking an Italian guy and put him. I feel like that's been beaten to death. I think there was a Steve Martin movie. There's been like 8 movies and TV shows where you take the Guinea mobster and put him in like with white bread people,
like a rural area,
right? And I feel like that's been done. Also, the old guy thing. All these iPhones we used to, dial. Again, get off my lawn kind of thing, which I do on the show every week. I feel like that's been done a little bit, and I was like, enough with this. But now the plot's kicking in, and do
you know how I feel about a lot of these shows, and it's kind of touching on the point that you're making. Do you know how there's like boxes that you check in certain cheesy horror movies? I feel like there's that very similar thing that's happening now with mafia movies and shows where they have these cheesy boxes that you got to check.
You got to check
it. And then when you do that, it kind of takes away from the originality. You got to have the
scene where the guy talks about food, kind of getting gabagool. I'm so sorry. I can't stand scenes in these mob kind of things where the guy goes up to a buffet and it's all like regular food and he gives the look like, don't you have any gabagool or provolone? Like that guy. That's been done. But I will tell you this. The way they're setting up the plot, and some of these Netflix, Amazon, these streaming shows, the plot is starting to get involved now, and I'm going to end up really, really loving this show. The acting, of course, is great. Tom's great in it. He's got a wig, and I think once they get into the plot of it, the thick of it, once they set up who these characters are, which you have to do, first 2 episodes, you got to get that done. I think the plot's going to start zipping along. And it's one of those, to me, it's must-see TV for now, which brings me to Yellowstone. Now, I treat these shows like a sporting event. So when I'm watching Yellowstone, I'm thinking, this is Yellowstone's starting to look like the Giants now. Like, have they jumped the shark? I'm just like, what's going on here? I was so sick of Beth being like a total kick, even though best character on television. But after 30 episodes of her being a badass, something's got to give, But something happened at the end of the last episode, which I won't say, that you go, maybe she, her armor got knocked off, so we'll see. But I get this way with shows, you just get it's like being, you're a fan of it, so you want to critique it and love it and like it. That's why they sucker me in every week to watch it. Which brings me to Pine Tar Bar and Grill, Christopher. 121 South Main Street, Forked River, 609-489-4286. Go check out this place. Awesome. I'm telling you, this place is an awesome sports bar. Go there. 5,000 televisions. You got all the games on, soccer, bands playing, really good food. Guy's Italian who owns it, my buddy Tommy. It's good stuff. PineTarBarGrill.com. Go check it out. You'll love it. I also worked last week as an actor, thespian, besides the Nutcracker. Oh, I did fine work. I worked on a web series called Checked Out. It's not available yet. I'll let everybody know what it is. The director was this guy, Tom Baldinger, which I'm starting to work with now on some very interesting projects related to softball. What a lousy tease that was. But I got to work with Mike.
Like last week, you basically let the cat out of the bag.
No, I didn't. No, the cat's very much in the bag. But we have a big production meeting tonight. But I worked on this short. It's called Checked Out. The two leads are Mike Satow and Mark Riccadona, who I know is a comedian. I've known him for a while. Two funny guys. And I play Uncle Bill. It takes place in a convenience store, and we play like three guys who own it. And it was cool because I started adding. They let me add lines. I was being a real jerk off. My character's just a jerk. And I love that kind of thing. It was cool. Shot that in Somerville, New Jersey, which is a nice town. We were in the not nice section of Somerville, but very interesting store we shot in. So if you ever get to Somerville, I'll find out what the name of the store is. It's very interesting. Convenience store, smoke shop, divided by lottery store, divided by you can buy diapers there. It's a very odd thing.
So it's like a bodega, but in New Jersey.
In New Jersey, but it was a different kind of a bodega. I don't know what was going on.
It was like cool. A dispensary and a bodega.
You could buy those like flavored vanilla cream cigars there. You know, like I don't know. But you could also get like a jar of peanut butter and like Lucky Charms. It was a great time though. Tom Baldinger now he's becoming a friend of mine who directed it. Really good job. Great crew. 624 Productions. There's a shout out. And, you know, it's so funny this time of year. I'm glad I'm over the years, I always seem to book something around the holidays. But it gets right around now, it gets shitty for actors. If you're working on a show, it's cool. They sometimes let you home for the Thanksgiving. And sometimes you work right up until Christmas Eve. But like no new productions are going on. Auditions are hard to come by. And it makes it like something like as an actor on the show, I try to sometimes peer behind the curtain of being an actor. It's like sucks because like everything's winding down and it's the holidays. There's not as much work. And, you know, you're trying to celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas and, you know, things are getting tight with money and stuff like that. It's just one of those things been going on I've been doing this for 33 years. It's the same shit every year. I always felt it even worse for LA. I just couldn't wait to get home. Why, if you're from New Jersey, you can't possibly, spend Christmas in Thanksgiving or Christmas in LA. It just doesn't work. But it's like, I don't know. I'm not depressed. That's the wrong word. It's a bluesy time of year for actors. Then you get all fired up in the new year. I will be getting headshots soon. The guy who took the photographs for the Nutcracker, I looked up his work. I was like, oh shit, this guy's a badass. And I really liked him. So I'll be getting new headshots, new year, 2023. But then in January, things die. It's at the start of the year. It's dead. Budgets are just getting put together, and things don't pick up till like February 15th. So this to me is like the bad 8 weeks. This is when you got to go like at Eagles, at Cowboys, at Kansas City. You know what I mean? You get one game, like an easy game, like, you know, home against the Packers. That was a cheap shot, Chris. I didn't mean that.
Bro, it's really just like the Giants schedule right now. It's
the Giants. So the Giants schedule is mimicking my acting career. But, you know, but some people, you know, there's a whole thing. People really get bummed out during. Are you a bummed out during a holiday guy?
Like,
some people
when
get
I was
really,
a kid, Christmas was
blues.
obviously much better. Now there's, I guess it depends on the time of my life. As over the last couple of years, I'm just so not in touch with anything. And I know that it sounds bad, but it's like, I don't get bummed out, but New Year's typically bums me out. Like the holidays, it's whatever. Christmas Eve is much better than Christmas. Christmas Day, I think, is, if anything, is a little bit depressing when it's all said and done and it's over. And then you're looking at it, it's like football season's over. At this point in my life, the Packers suck. So that makes it, usually I at least have that going for me. And, but New Year's, I like to look at like Labor Day more so as New Year's for me. Like the fresh start is when I used to go back to school as a kid, and then September rolls around. That to me is a more like, let me start fixing myself now and get ahead of the New Year's Eve thing.
Right.
And then
it's
usually
a
by
change
New
of
Year's
season.
Eve, the reason why I'm so depressed is because I had already decided to fix my life in September, and then I am on New Year's, and I'm like, well, I didn't do a goddamn thing yet, so I guess I could retry this whole New Year's resolution.
So listen, maybe Absolute Eyewear could sponsor your life, just the way they sponsor my weight loss. It's the same thing.
It might be a good thing to start off the new year being able to see.
Yes, you need
could be a thing.
glasses.
Could be a thing. I really have to do that.
But no, I remember when I always went back. I usually left. I came back to LA, and in January, and I was usually full of piss and vinegar. When I went back to LA, I was very aggressive in LA. Did more stand up. I was doing this. I started to get in shape and going to the gym. I was into like showbiz. I got my resume tightened up. I usually got new headshots, and I usually come in and I do the same thing like in September as well. The change of season. I like that. It gives you like a jump start, but there's something sometimes, I guess it depends who your personal life.
It gets dark at 4:30. There's a lot of reasons for it. You don't really get good sunlight. You're not out during the day. You're not getting to play. Like if you go play something, you have an hour on the court. It's not like you just have this open court outside where you could go play all day if you'd like. There's a lot of things that change when the winter comes around, and there's no baseball every night. You got to watch the Knicks. Now the Yankees at least give you a little more hope than the Knicks do. There's a lot of aspects of it that I think.
Right, you get like I don't know. I mean, I remember Christmas Day when the Knicks were good. That was always fun, but the Knicks haven't been good in 20 years. So and I watch these other teams. I don't know. I know like 3 players that play basketball on Christmas Eve.
Hey, if the Giants go on a nice little run right here, they could change a lot of things.
I'll be all fired up for me. Yes, indeed. Usually the Rutgers season's winding down, and that's always depressing. But I know this holiday. Some people really. Someone was telling me that like suicides are up and stuff, and I'm not at that point. But I guess with the holidays, the pressure of it, and getting gifts, and I remember I always feel guilty. I always want to get my nephews. I always tried to when I was younger. My nephews were younger. Even if I was broke, I would just pull out a credit card. I felt that just because their Uncle Jimmy's broke, that doesn't mean that my nephews can't get a shitty toy from their Uncle Jimmy.
Yeah, and then like January through like the first week of February, you're like, God damn it. I should have just
what is this?
The credit card bill comes in.
What is this $190 from Toys R Us? You know what I mean? But you're like, for the kids. Do it for the kids. But I
think that's the main thing. You just have to accept the fact that your life sucks. Right? And that, you know what, if my life is going to suck, I'm cool with that. I don't want anyone else's life that I care about to suck. So you just make the sacrifice and deal with it like a grown-up.
Yep, a grown-up. You know what you do? You slap a smile on your face and plow through this shit one more time. That's what you do. No, but it's just a weird thing about the holiday blues I always wanted to touch upon. But some people love the holidays. It inspires them. They get bummed out in January.
Look, I think also without that aspect of it in the spectrum of being able to have some things that make you reflect, and that's why the holidays are what they are. So it's like you don't get to appreciate anything if you don't have shitty times too. So it does work that way. It's life.
Good times, bad times. That's how it goes. No, but everything's okay. My life's all right. I have a lot to be thankful for. Thanksgiving. I'll be spending time with my family down at my brother's house in Seagirt. Where are you going?
I'll go up north to my sister's house. I'm almost positive at this point. Like I said, I'm so out of tune. It doesn't matter. I know I'm going to be at a dinner table with something that my mom made for the entire family, and wherever they're telling me I'm going, that's where I'm going.
Are you like it's like fantasy Thanksgiving? Like someone's just going to pick Chris up at a cheap price to come in? You're not signed yet?
Yeah, no, I don't get involved in the whereabouts and the who's and what's. It's just, you know what? I'll be there. You tell me where I'm going. Just let me know by Wednesday.
I'm 57. I haven't made a decision regarding Thanksgiving my whole life. So
right. So who are we talking about here? I'm going with the flow, bro. Go with the flow. What do I need to bring?
I need like a GPS for Thanksgiving. I just turn it on. Where do I got to go? Enter the address. I show up with a bottle of wine, and we're good. First down, New York. Anyway, listen, happy Thanksgiving. to everybody, to all my wonderful fans and my Patreons. And I love it. And thank you, Daryl, for upping your tier. Love that. And listen, bottom line is I'll be back next week with show number 90. Come on now. That's a kind of a milestone, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, we're almost there. We got 10 more to go.
We got 10 more to go, and then maybe that'll do it. That'll do it here from the Omni. I haven't done the Omni in a long time. Maybe I'll do show number 90 from the Omni in Atlanta. Anyway, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We'll see you next week with a very special guest. I'll see you, everybody. Have a good one, guys. We'll see you.
You too, buddy.